Hello and welcome back. This is video number 6 and we're going to dive straight in and continue where we left off in the previous video where I showed you kind of an overview of how to start out your Prezi Next presentation. And now we're going to dive in and talk about editing and customization. And we'll talk about customizing your Prezi, your images, your colors, and your animations and everything else. Okay, so now that you understand how things are structured when it comes to editing, customization, grabbing, inserting images, grabbing images out, inserting your own images, all of that, it's actually a very easy process once you're utilizing a template. But like I said, once you master the template process, you can actually move straight into beginning to start with a clean slate and do your own thing, kind of thing. So let's just go ahead and customize from the top down to the bottom. So now we're taking a look at the overview, which is the overarching view of everything. And before I actually even move into anything, let's start kind of like a cumulative order so that it's better understandable. Let's say, for example, that we don't want certain elements right here to appear until we move forward. So we can actually, let's click on the sales pitch, for example, and maybe the background. So we'll select that, and then of course you can move that back over here, and we'll click animations, and then I'm going to click plus. So obviously you want to select the element that you want to animate, click plus, and then choose what you want. So we could do fade in, fade out. So fade in would usually naturally be okay when you actually come in, and maybe later on it'll be fade out. We could also fade in here. We could also initially zoom in as well. So you can zoom in, you can add a zoom in area and all of that. So animations is just a really cool way to make things appear, or when they're not appear as you begin the presentation. So maybe you could start out with a kind of just a view of the circles, the elements, the major topics, and then of course the background. And then you begin the presentation and it's like, wow, that looks really cool, kind of thing. So think about it from your viewer's standpoint. What would make them think, wow, that's really interesting, or wow, I didn't expect that to even happen, kind of thing. So that's that, and that's basically how animations work. You can also specify when the animations happen. So you can have it at the beginning of the presentation, after the about, which is these topics here. So every one of these circles are topics, remember. So you can have the animations appear after every single one of these topics here. So you can actually specify it in more detail. But I just wanted to show you some brief kind of overview of the animations elements themselves. So now I'm going to select the about topic. And to customize it, very, very easy to do. So this obviously would be good for a sales pitch or an about presentation. And all you have to do to customize it is select it, double click it, and highlight it, and then of course your office or your name or whatever. So office location, you can add the text here. Or if you want to insert another element, you can do that as well. So you can insert up here, subtopic text, charts, images, videos, shapes, arrows, lines, icons, and symbols. So I could also insert an icon. You can have light icons and dark icon. So if I select light icons, you can see they have a light background on the back. So we could select one of these, and we can simply drag and drop it over here, like so. Or if we go back here and we do dark Prezis, it's just a dark background here. So that's really the main difference between light Prezis and dark Prezi icons. So you can also insert other elements as well if you would like to. You can also edit out the images. So if you click on the image here, we could click replace image. So we could go and look for an image, and we could select an image like this, and it'll just upload it really fast, as you can see here, within a few seconds, or less than 0.1 seconds actually. So we could do that, and we could go back just to kind of see what it looks like. So we can zoom in like that and go like that. And so you can see how easy it is. You select the image, you click replace image, find the image that you want like that, and replace it. So what you see is kind of what you get. What you see, and then you can replace, of course, the color. So you could select this purple item and then select a different color like that. So, you know, if you've used PowerPoint, you use Microsoft Word, the dashboard up here is fairly easy to use. But you'll notice that it changes depending on the element that you choose. So if you choose an image, it'll tell you replace an image. If you choose, you know, a color block, it'll tell you there's different options for the color block. If you choose text, on the other hand, you have the opportunity to, you know, change the size, increase it, change the font type. You can bold, italicize, background color, the color, alignment. So really basic stuff when it comes to text, stuff that you would see in pretty much most word processing systems. Now, let's say you want to add something and you don't like where this image is. So you can actually select the image and move it around. And you can move the text around as well. You don't have to necessarily stick with the exact position of everything, you know, how things are set up in terms of the template. So if you don't like something, you know, feel free to move it around. You can actually do that very, very easily with Prezi. Now, let's say we want to zoom in. We can actually zoom in, but we can also zoom out as well. So let's go back out and go back to overview. And you might be wondering, can you actually, move things around? You know, let's say I don't really want this background here. Let's say I want my own background. Well, you can do that by going back to the overview, clicking on background options, and you can either upload a background image, you can revert to the template background if you make a mistake, you can remove background images like so, or we can revert back to this. So one place that I will tell you to get your images from is bigstockphoto.com. There are a lot of other places that you can go to get images as well. There's pixabay.com. There is also Pexels, PEXELS.com. You can also get really beautiful images there, royalty-free ones. So obviously, if you're doing this for like business related, you're going to want to get a commercial license. So you're going to need to pay for the images that you use. So with that said, that aside, if you click upload background image, let's just choose an image. So let's go and let's see here. Let's maybe choose this one here. So obviously this relates to outsourcing, but you can see these have little circles. And that's actually really convenient because I can actually move these circle topics here. So let's say, for example, I want to move this here and I want to make the circle a little bit bigger so that it fits perfectly on this here. So obviously the finger's pointing here, but I could put it over here. I could, put this over here and make it bigger so it fits the circle perfectly like that. And I could do the same thing over here like so. So as you can see, you can move the circles around. Now you'll notice as I move the circles around, do you see those yellow lines? Well, those yellow lines are pointing to the circles. So depending on the order that you have it in right now is the order that it'll go through if you use the arrow, the right arrow, to move forward. But you can obviously use the mouse to select either or whatever item that you want, and go into any order that you want. But like I said, if you do want to go in order, you can. And you can use the right arrow on your keyboard to essentially go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if I want to move, let's say, for example, 6 to number 2, I could easily do that. And then, of course, it switches. But I wanted to show you how easy it was. See, with the template, you have the opportunity, like you don't have to use the way the things are laid out or anything like that. You can actually tweak it to your own liking, like that. So there you go. So you can see that I tweaked it. I imported a background, and that's what it looks like. Now, within the subtopic itself, you can actually edit just the same way. Select it, double click it to edit the text. And of course, I can add a subtopic. Remember, you have two topic types. You have planets or stacks. Planets basically add the circles around here. So I could add another subtopic and it'll appear here. I can move it anywhere way I want. I'm going to leave it as it is. I can add another subtopic and another one like so. And of course, if I want kind of a PowerPoint slide look, I can choose the stack, as you can see here. So stack is going to look like this, where they zoom all the way further in, and it looks like a PowerPoint slide. And this is actually something that we did for a while with Prezi Classic, but it's not something that you could easily do with Prezi Classic. And that's why I recommend, if you're new to all of this, stick with Prezi next. All right. So that's pretty much the premise on how to use Prezi.